This Mr. V Kamath, it's great to have you with us, and somebody who would know really what's going to happen to the investment climate. And Jyotiraditya Scindia also joining us on the program. Mr. Kamath, if I can start with you first, we are taking a look at this entire question of the fiscal deficit. It is high. There's no doubt that the fiscal deficit is high. There are two views. One which says that in an environment like this of global recession, you shouldn't worry too much about it. The second view saying you will have a crowding out effect. Which of the two camps would you be in and why?
At this point in time, I am in the former camp. Clearly, the world recovery is underway, but whether the green shoots are up or they're getting crushed, I think is a moot point at this point in time. Given that, we probably would need to continue to stimulate demand, and from that point of view, the deficit probably is something that is necessary to make sure that we keep the demand momentum going. So, for example, in this budget you see a whole lot of incentives in the rural side of the economy. Probably for the last 6 to 8 months, rural India has provided the momentum to our economy, and that probably will continue for the next few months given what is happening through this budget. A. B, I think as far as overall growth is concerned, I would look at it this way. Corporate India's confidence is back, so they are in an investment mode. So from that point of view, the government crowding out the private sector or other investment could be a challenge. That's one, I think, fact that we will have to put in context. Having said that, I think we are running liquidity levels which we have not seen in the last maybe 8 to 10 years. Probably I go back 12, 13 years, I have not seen the sort of liquidity that we are seeing in the markets today. Given that, in the banking sector today, given that probably if we had to have a budget and take a call on a deficit and take a call on the deficit, this is probably the best time this could have happened to this country. So 6.8% deficit I think is needed to provide the stimulus. We are liquid in terms of having money in the bank as it were, and that should provide us leeway to meet government expectations, at the same time lend to corporate India, lend to consumer India, and maybe tide through the next few months. But in a slightly longer context, when I talk of slightly longer, I mean in the next 6 to 12 months, I think we will have to come forward with plans for divestment and the reform agenda, and I'm sure that's something that the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister and the entire set of economic ministers will be working on, so that at that point in time we are ready with plans to meet, I would say, a going forward path as it were.
Mr. Kamath, one of the big worries, Pranoy here, one of the big worries is that this will lead to interest rates rising. You know the intricacies of the monetary market, you know it inside out. How would you advise the government to ensure that there's no pressure on interest rates to go up and to keep them modest if not drop?
Yeah, I think at this point in time, luckily for us, deposit rates are moving southwards. Similarly, lending rates, whether it is to the corporate or to consumer India, is moving southward. That is because the full impact of demand from either the corporates or the consumer side has not hit the financial system. It will hit in the next 6 to 12 months. I think for the government, what is important is to plan that in 6 months' time we do not create a situation where we again have a liquidity tightness which puts enormous pressure on the interest rates.
Right.
Today, what is putting, if at all, any pressure on the interest rates, it is the bond rates which are out of sync with the deposit rates in the marketplace. And I think the government has probably 6 months' time to do this balancing act, and I'm sure within that period they will come out and articulate a path forward.
What role does the RBI have in this to ensure that interest rates don't go up?
Yeah, at this point in time, I think clearly I would think that this is a market process, and we would need to follow the market process in terms of how demand supply is met and what happens. At this point in time, probably it is entirely driven by the market, given liquidity levels and the fact that demand is yet to pick up for money.
Right. All right, Mr. Kamath, thank you so much for joining us.